I'm doing a review of Jurassic World Rebirth, a synopsis, if you will, uh, about this movie that I recently watched in cinemas. It just recently came out. It was directed by Gareth Edwards. You might recognize him from the Godzilla franchise. Uh, this movie changed my view on Jurassic as a whole. I've been a fan for many years. Initially, just because of the first Jurassic World film that happened to release in 2015. That movie was a transformative experience to me. So, with that, I want to talk about how I felt about the movie as a somewhat new Jurassic World fan, as someone who's been in the community for a short time now. Um, I thought the movie was surprising in a lot of ways. I thought that the dynamic between the beautiful scenery and CGI and the cast was extremely interesting. And I thought it was overall a decent movie, and there's a lot of good things I'd like to talk about. So I'm gonna start to head that direction and explain the good things. So I saw this in theaters. I went to my local cinema. I sat down. I watched this film, and first question you might ask me, was it worth it? Was it worth the money? Was it worth the popcorn? Absolutely. I'm gonna say right now that this was a good cinema experience. We're at an age where technology has uh, has really escalated to a point where you know the movie theater experiences that we go to, they're more immersive, and they leave you with more of a feeling and a sense of who you are, and that's why I'm making this video right now, specifically. I'll start to head into the first thing that I really appreciated about this movie, and that's going to be the setting. The setting of where we are, the new island that we're brought to. At the beginning of the movie, we are we are brought to the equator, where dinosaurs now inhabit because of climate change, and that's something that this movie's going to touch up on quite a bit. So this this setting that we have, this island, which I am not going to say the name of. You're gonna have to watch the movie to I'm not gonna spoil this necessarily. This is a no spoiler review for the most part, but I am going to include some key details to my preference. The island in this movie was gorgeous, and part of the reason that we're on this island is because dinosaurs at this point in time only inhabit the equator. Now, this is a testament to climate change, as I previously mentioned. This movie is going to touch up a lot on climate change, and I'm not going to get into the political dynamic of climate change. So, there are many groups who lead us to believe certain things to drive funds, to drive fear and control. A scared group of people, as you may know, is much weaker than a strong group of people who are not afraid, who are ignorant and blind, as you may know. Think of who might be trying to think of who might be trying to scare you. That is what this movie is about. That is what this movie is about, okay? They brush up a lot on climate change, okay? They make it feel like it's our fault as Americans, specifically, I want to say. Because, they don't talk about how Indians moved the dinosaurs because of climate change. No, they talk about how we did. We. Which is a big point of contention that I want to bring up in this review. Now, these scenes that might lead you to believe that there was some kind of narrative that was maybe pushed by a certain group of people or organization, whether you know it or not. Um, this movie was primarily directed by Steven Spielberg, Gareth Edwards, because they wanted it to they wanted it to mimic old Jurassic movies and unused scenes from those movies from the Jurassic Park era, and that's what they ended up doing. So that all contributes to the setting of this film, I might add. This is all at the equator. Every bit of dinosaur activity that you're seeing is at the equator because of the climate, uh, the the climate of the world, of the Earth, the globe Earth. Um, I'm gonna move on to the flora that we see. Uh, Very early on into this movie, we see all the flora that inhabits the island. This might make you reminiscent of places like Trinidad or the Bahamas or even Saint Martin, Grenada, uh, many islands that share this tropical equator like climate. That's exactly what inhabits this particular these that is the where the dinosaurs inhabit particularly. You're going to see a lot of daffodils in this movie, which is a kind of flower. You might also see you're going to be seeing a lot of ferns and cycads that resemble the Mesozoic era. You're going to see conifers and ginkgos, which this film does include. Um, these were common during the dinosaur era. There's a lot of bamboo and grass that you might see when you're out in this when you decide to go see this movie in cinemas. Tropical broadleaves, very reminiscent of what you'll see in Trinidad and Tobago. Shout out DJ Jeremy Hardstyle. So, my next point in what I like about this movie, keep in mind this is all stuff that I appreciate. Scarlett Johansson. ScarJo. You might know her from movies like The Avengers, Marriage Story, North, Just Cause, Home Alone 3, The Horse Whisperer, The Man Who Wasn't There, Lost in Translation, the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, 2004, The Nanny Diaries, Iron Man 2. We bought a zoo. Little rhyme there. That's gonna be about all for ScarJo. But there, there's many more that I didn't include there. When they set off in the beginning of this movie, they're looking for 3 dinosaurs, which I believe are pretty awesome. The Mosasaurus to start off with. Boy, do I love the Mosasaurus. Boy, do I love the Mosasaurus. What an amazing dinosaur. On so many different levels, I might add. Now, the Titanosaurus, another crazy dinosaur that you'll get to see in the movie, which I'm not going to spoil. And one more. There's a third one, which I'm actually not going to be disclosing because as to add to the mysteriousness of this review, as well as drive you to watching the new Jurassic World Rebirth movie, which is out in theaters now as of the time of this recording, which is 9:29 p.m. on the East Coast at July 22nd, 2025. That is the date today. Ecological challenges in this movie that are addressed. Climate change. I'm going to call back to an earlier part, if you are bearing with me, from about 20 minutes ago, when we covered the ecological challenges that this movie poses, which is climate change. Whether you believe in this or not, this movie is going to shove it down your throat, and you are going to understand by the end of it what you should be doing. I'm going to touch on something later that has to do with climate change, but for right now, I'm going to continue with the parts that I liked about the movie. As I said, these are all things that I liked about the movie, including the mentioning and depictions of climate change that were brought up in this movie. This story explores, in my opinion, a broader sense of human-dinosaur relation that not other Jurassic movies necessarily pulled off. I believe that at this point, when this movie came out, the dinosaurs were no longer necessarily an attraction, but part of our world again. This was something that was reintroduced to us, and this is something that we care about now as the human race. So that is one thing. I think that this movie kind of focuses on the broader sense of interaction that we have with dinosaurs in the modern day, in the modern era. Um, this kind of goes back to the whole climate change thing that I discussed. If you were here about 20 minutes ago, um, this was Don't leave. Don't leave. Come on. Timmy. Timmy, I'm recording a video right now. I'm trying to keep my composure, but I'm hearing you out, dude. I'm just trying to be ominous and eat this cereal on the camera. I'm 40 minutes in. No. No. I think you're just having a problem coming out of your shell. You got it, dude. Don't leave, Timmy. I'm enjoying your presence. Even you talking about yourself, I enjoy that, dude. When was I making fun of you? I never said that. I never said that. I promise you I never said that. I say that about Beals sometimes. But not you. I promise you. Alright. Let's get into the cons about this movie. Couple of things that this movie didn't land on. At the very beginning of the movie, I believe about 2.5 minutes in, it's about 2.5 minutes in when you see a Snickers bar dropped on the floor. That was disappointing to me. That was where this movie started to deceive me, right from the beginning. I've tried to be pretty mellow throughout the beginning of this review. But At this point in time, I'm ready to start laying down an iron hammer about how I feel about this movie. The product placement was immense. It was just like the 2015 movie all over again. You know, just Coke and Snickers and you know, Procter and Gamble ads, which really disappointed me and set me back in enjoying this movie. The plot in this movie was overall confusing. Without drawing too much attention to spoilers, I think that this movie's plot was overall scattered and misguided. I think that if they got a true Jurassic fan, you know, someone that's been a fan since, you know, the OG days, like an OG Jurassic fan, I might add. Maybe someone who also enjoys Godzilla and understands Gareth Edwards' work. I have a feeling that they could better guide the the storyline of this movie. Um, I think there were a lot of things that were missed out on, and unfairly at that, because this movie, you know, it deserved better for what we got. I think that the plot was honestly irrelevant. You know, not to contradict my previous statements, but most of the topical and narrative points that they made in the movie were just not relevant. They weren't interesting. They weren't captivating. It wasn't a good experience. Watching that movie was not a good experience. And that's hard for me to say. As a Jurassic fan myself, as a Jurassic World fan myself, I might add, you know, I did enjoy the 2015 movie. I thought that was a great experience. Um, this plot was exhaustive. What do I mean by that? This movie had a this movie had a few problems in this next department I'm about to bring up. That was the mainly the aesthetics of the D-Rex, as you may know. Many will describe this as a Xenomorph Rancor crossover because of its looks. That's just kind of gay. I mean, I don't want to see Star Wars and Alien mixed. That's kind of just, I mean, in my opinion, sissy shit. Just based on the way that I feel about that. This movie wasn't high on deaths and kills, if you will, as the other Jurassic movies were. I felt like there was more that could have come out of this if they had listened to the fans, perhaps, about the direction that they wanted this particular film to go in. Uh, which we want horror movies, and I'm gonna shout out a similar horror movie that's gonna drop soon on August 25th. It's a film by Jeremy. It's called Flashlight. It's gonna be dropping on August 25th, and I'm really excited about it. Uh, Solely for the reason that we don't have enough found footage movies coming out of the Jurassic scene, and that's someone who's really big in the Jurassic community. So I'm really excited for this movie to come out, and I'm just thinking about the rest of this movie in comparison to that, because I feel like this movie that's coming out is might do what Rebirth should have done, in terms of narrative, characters, story design, overall architecture of the film. So I'm really excited for that, which is why I'm getting excited now. The ending in this movie was, in my opinion, too giddy, too jolly. For what I want to see as a Jurassic World fan. I remember these movies being somewhat grittier, and at this point in time, they're kind of watered down for China or whatever lobbyist group that they're pandering to, and I think that that's honestly just inappropriate for what Jurassic is. Jurassic is about separating yourself from the rest, and this is not like the Jurassic that I know, which is why in my next point I have here, I think that Fallen Kingdom and Dominion were probably are probably gonna outshine this movie as well. I mean, honestly, I'm gonna say right now, this is the worst Jurassic movie to come out, and that is something that I say with a heavy heart, because obviously Jurassic is a big part of my life, and I don't want to disparage it necessarily, but this movie was just unbelievable at certain points. I was like, what am I even watching right now? Um, it was it was honestly, out of the films that I've seen, the worst. But I will say they did try to leave room for a sequel here, and it didn't work out. It really didn't. The sequel did not work out. Um, well, it won't work out. That's what I mean to say here. There's just no way that you could make an interesting sequel that people like me, my friend Jeremy, like all of my boys that watch Jurassic. There's no possible way to make a film that we're gonna want to see again. We've seen it all too many times. Um, with that being said, I don't want to see a sequel. I don't really want to see a prequel. I'd like to see maybe a TV show if we're gonna expand upon the Jurassic World lore, as opposed to just continuing. I think that the next step, if not that sequel, film series adaptation. I think we should go in a different direction. I think we should start maybe Jurassic Planet, Jurassic Island, Jurassic Desert, Jurassic Tundra, Jurassic Sea, Jurassic Ocean. Too many things that we could expand upon at the end of this movie. What is my final rating? My rating is a 7.5. Out of all the Jurassic movies I've seen, and this is still a decent rating, in my opinion. This is still a decent rating. Although it did not meet all of my expectations, it could have been worse. So that's about all I have to say. Um, Make sure to subscribe, like, share, um, anything you can to, put this review on the map, because I feel like, although the movie was probably one of the worst that the Jurassic franchise has ever seen, Superman was still not as good. So, see you next time for the next review, and or commentary video, and or hang sesh.